Life is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.
Welcome to Today in Horrible History, your daily moment of historical misfortune. For January 27th, 2022, we're reaching back to January 27th, 1591 on the Julian calendar. On that date, a Scottish woman named Agnes Sampson was tortured to confess to being a witch and burned at the stake. Back in 1591, Scotland was an independent country and James VI, its king. The previous year, he married Anne of Denmark, a royal from, well, Denmark. More precisely, at the time, Denmark-Norway, a joint country with Copenhagen as its capital. James spent some time in 1590 at the Danish court, where witchcraft, witch trials, and witch executions were popular, seeing as there was no internet, no cable TV, and people need things to do. Anne and James returned by ship to the Scottish court at Edinburgh, a trip marred by stormy weather. Naturally, without any proof at all, a belief arose that witches caused the storms, using their mystical powers in order to shipwreck the millionaire and his wife. Following the tortured confessions and burnings at the stake of 5 alleged witches in Copenhagen for the alleged storm plot, James decided any self-respecting European monarch should torture a witch or two back home. The target for this in Scotland unfortunately became Agnes Sampson, also known as the Wise Wife of Keith. Sampson was a traditional local healer and midwife, that is to say a birth coach and women's healthcare provider, we might say doula today, at a time when a woman in that position was first on the witch accusation list. Sampson was arrested and repeatedly tortured until confessing to a plot to raise storms to prevent Anne of Denmark from reaching Scotland. Her head was shaven, as was her entire body, so that her torturers could search for a witch's mark. It's never enough, of course, to torture false confessions out of people. It's necessary to get them to agree with your crazed stories about their plot, or for them to concoct their own stories about their plot and tell you how they cast their spells and so on. Let's not pretend that this doesn't continue today in different forms. Keep an eye out for it in your community. Here's a quote from a contemporary account. By special commandment, this Agnes Sampson had all her hair shaven off in each part of her body, and her head thrown with a rope according to the custom of that country, being a pain most grievous, which she continued almost an hour, during which time she would not confess anything until the devil's mark was found upon her privates. Then she immediately confessed whatsoever was demanded of her, and justifying those persons aforesaid to be notorious witches. That last part means they tortured her until she agreed that the other people that they wanted to accuse as witches were in on the plot with her. On January 27th, Agnes was garroted. That's a word that doesn't come up every day. Then burned at the stake in Edinburgh. It is claimed her infuriated bald ghost haunts the royal castle at Holyrood. I hope it does. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Today in Horrible History. Remember that after a brief visit, the rest of your day can only seem better in comparison.
Life is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.